trust the process. Trust the process. You are never in the wrong place. You are always in exactly the right place, even if it might not look like what you think it's supposed to look like for where you want to go. That moment too is perfectly orchestrated for you to get where you want to go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our next episode of Course Creation Show. My name is Iman Aghay, the founder of Success Road Academy and your host of Course Creation Show. And I'm super excited for my next interview. Our guest is going to be Christine Kloser, an amazing friend and like a really amazing person to have in your life. I mean, one of my team members always looks at Christine and hears her stories, and she's like, Christine is the person that I aspire to be. Like she's the person that I want to become when I grow up. And I tell you, she is such a strong, authentic leader, and the way that she leads with heart, the way that she adds value, the way that she changes people's lives is unbelievable. And I just can't wait to do this interview with her. Christine, welcome to the call.
Oh my gosh, Iman, that was quite an introduction. Thank you. I am so excited to see what unfolds today for your community and happy to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Christine, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your story, where you began, how you began, and kind of what got you here.
Long version or short version? Well, I guess one of the biggest turning point moments in my life was when I graduated college, and instead of going to get like a regular job, you know, pantyhose and skirt suit and all that stuff, like I hopped in a car and drove 3,000 miles away to San Diego. Not having any experience with being an entrepreneur. No one in my family was an entrepreneur. It wasn't in my arena. Like it wasn't in my understanding as even a possibility. Everyone I knew just got jobs with benefits. And that I think was really the beginning of an entrepreneurial journey that's been going on now, 3 decades strong. And, we had many ups and downs, different iterations, different industries, but for the last 16 years, specifically been working with transformational authors and helping them birth their stories and birth their messages in the world. So it's been an incredible, amazing, sometimes incredibly challenging, but rich and deep, joyous, purposeful kind of journey. Like I'm so blessed to get to work with the people and the authors that I do. So it was in my soul, like I had to go out and strike out and do my own thing. And I'm still standing 30 years later. So, that's working.
That's amazing. Well, I mean, yes, it is working really well, actually. So
Yes.
tell me this. How did you choose your topic and target market? Why authorship? Like, why the books?
Well, it chose me, to be quite honest with you. I had no intention. Well, actually, it's not true. Probably in the early 90s, I had an idea for a book. And I started writing down all these ideas. And for years, I would write down all these ideas. I'm like, this is going to be an amazing book. But I didn't know how to make it go from, like notes on a paper to book form. And I just thought about it for, 10 years, but I never did anything with it. And I kind of just, I let it fall to the recesses of my mind. I mean, no one likes to feel like I have this, book, but I don't know what to do or how to do it. And so I didn't really tell anyone about it, just kind of put it on the back burner. Lots of people do that who have these great book ideas. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to put it on the back burner. And that was me for at least a decade. And then my husband had a divinely inspired moment where he decided he wanted to write a book. And I mean, I swear, I was sitting right next to him when the inspiration came. His body temperature, I think, rose 5 degrees. His face turned red. Like, I've never quite seen my husband like that. He was like, oh my God, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go interview like hundreds of Major League Baseball players and write a book about the wisdom they learned about the game. And I'm like, that's great, honey, but you don't know any Major League Baseball players. And you don't know anyone who knows any Major League Baseball players. Like, okay, you pitched against Barry Bonds when you were in college, but like, that's not going to get you in the door to do all these interviews. So I told him I would help him publish the book if he figured out how to do it. And what do you know? 300 plus interviews later with Major League ball players from all 30 Major League teams, Hall of Fame players. I mean, if I said the names, you'd probably know them. They mean something to people. A-Rod's the biggest one that I know that I got to interview. But I was like, oh, crap. Like, now I need to figure out how to publish a book. So I figured out how to publish a book for him. And I was like, well, heck, I know what I'm doing. You know, this is big time in the middle of chicken soup for the soul craze. Not that chicken soup for the soul is no longer a craze, but it was really growing momentum. I thought, I can get a bunch of women from my women's networking group. We can all write our story. We can all write a chapter and we can do this thing. And I can finally be a published author and check that off the list. And I did. My first book, Inspiration to Realization, with 40 other amazing women entrepreneurs, was birthed, came out in 2004. And I really thought I was done until those women who had published a chapter for 2 years begged me to help them write a book. They're like, writing this chapter was such a game changer for me personally, for my business, for who I see myself to be in the world. Like, Christine, I need you to help me write a book. And not quite the savvy businesswoman that I am now. I was like, oh, I don't do that. I don't help people write their own books. I just help you write a chapter. And then, you know, a moment of inspiration came, and 2 of my clients asked me separately, but simultaneously, to help them write a book. And I said, okay, I'll help you. And I was, then like the words came out. I'm like, oh my God, did I just commit to them? So yeah, I had committed to them, and I go where I go to do my thinking work. I went to the spa for the day and walked out with the domain getyourbookdone.com and the content of a program called Get Your Book Done. And that was 2007. So my online course is going 13 years strong now.
Wow, amazing. So, you know, isn't that interesting how many people begin from the place that they don't think it's actually like possible. They don't, not possible, like they don't even realize like how what they have can change people's lives, and how in demand it is. And then when you take the first step, then just the universe just pull you to the second step and the third step and the fourth step. And at times you even decide to like kind of ignore it. You are like, no, I don't want to go there. And then the universe is like, no, you are going there. Like, it's not an option. I'm giving you the option first, so you choose it. But if you don't, I'm going to force you there to make it happen anyways. But I just wanted to be civil and just give you an option first. Right. I mean,
can I just say, I so agree with you, because I don't know about you, Iman, but I grew up with this belief and mentality, certainly driven in by family, society. Like, you know, you have to work hard. Like, making money is hard work, right? My parents both grew up in poverty and the Depression. Like, their parents worked hard. And this was all I knew. So here I was, like, I sold my first program, Get Your Book Done, before I even had my first lesson really created to be able to teach it. I sold the program for $10,000. I had, I think, 6 or 8 people signed up for it. And I'm like, okay, well, I have to deliver now because all these people want to help. I put a price tag on what I thought it would cost, because we included publishing back then in the Get Your Book Done program. We don't anymore. We separated out our publishing company. But it was so easy. Like, it was so easy. And it took me years, like literally years, to truly just be like, oh, like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It had been on the side for so long, but like you heard, I mean, 13 years later, you know, my course is still helping create amazing results, amazing books, incredible transformations in their life. And I'm finally owning, like, oh, this is it, you know, like the last few years, literally. I'm like, oh, that book thing, it is supposed to be easy, you know, like, I don't have to work hard. And I really don't feel like I work a day in my life, because I love what I get to do. So yeah, it's a journey, that's for sure.
that's phenomenal. That's fantastic, actually, to hear. And you know, and no, especially for people who are so concerned about their next step, like not knowing like what to do, and just being overwhelmed, and just thinking that like, sometimes people try to figure out their next 25 steps and solve all the problems that they don't have right now and just kind of figure out things beforehand. And I always say, just take your next immediate step.
Because the next step after that is always revealed. Always revealed. Like when you leave New York City to drive to California, your headlights don't show you all the way to California. They show you the next, whatever, 100 yards on the road. And you don't get to see the next 100 yards on the road until you go that distance. You can't just sit there and wait. Show me the entire map because it's going to change. Right? But you don't know the next step until you take the first step and go that distance and then see the next one, the next one, the next one. And that was me, like I sold it and I'm like, all right, I'll create it. Okay. I'll go to the spa for the day. Okay. I'll, get the domain name. Okay. I'll make it happen. And then I thought, okay, I did that once, like I said, 13 years later, here we still are, and it continues to evolve and grow. But if you don't take that first step with your course, and maybe the first step for you needs to be selling it. Who knows? That's a really good way to get some skin in the game. Sell your course before it's built, and then you got to build it and deliver it. Exactly. I don't know if that's exactly what you teach, Iman, but worked for me.
Actually, I always tell people, first sell the course and make sure that there is a market for it. But then now that you have to teach the course, you will teach the course. Trust me. There are so many people who wanted to teach their course for the past 6 years, and they keep questioning, well, if I create it, will I have any clients? How can I make it perfect? How can I do this? I'm like, just sell it, and trust me, you're going to teach it. If you have clients who are waiting to learn the course, you suddenly kind of become the superhero that's teaching your course without knowing actually how you even got started teaching your course. And just transforms their life, transforms your life, and makes a huge impact in the world. And the thing is that when you see the impact you're making in people's lives, you can't stop. You can't stop. You're like, I can't stop doing this. Look at all the lives that I changed. How can I stop doing this?
Yeah. And I so agree. It's like, I guess I don't want to use the word addiction, but it becomes such a joy. It's like every time I get on with a client or run a group call or host a virtual writing retreat or work with one of my select clients or run an event or whatever it is. It's like when I hear people talk about how they're drained, just got off the phone with a client, I'm so drained. Like, oh my God, I get off the phone with a client, I feel like I could go run a marathon. I'm like, oh my God, they're so amazing. That was so amazing. The universe is so amazing that allowed that to just happen. It's just, it's off the charts, and our courses, help us do this.
Right. You help a client to get an aha moment or overcome a fear or just seeing that shine in people's eyes when they get that aha moment, or when they overcome a limiting belief that they have about what you were teaching them. And this doesn't matter what it is that you teach people. You always have people that their self-limiting beliefs is stopping them from taking action. You still have people who get aha moments that to you stuff looks like second nature. You look at it because you are the expert. You've been doing this for such a long time. You don't even realize how big of a skill it is to have that, right? So for you, it's a second nature, but the impact it makes in people's lives is just amazing. And seeing that shine in people's eyes, that aha moment, I think it's an addiction. It's to me, it's I can't see my life not seeing people's aha moment and that shine in their eyes every day.
And I just want to add, when you do this through a course, right? Because I have multiple tiers, I have the online version and the version with group coaching and the version where you're working with me closely for 6 months, and then the year-long Mac Daddy, $50,000 program, what have you. And I was sitting in a room, gosh, maybe 2 years ago. I was invited to a very small little mastermind with some fellow, authors, and some people from his community. And I show up in this hotel room, and this woman looks at me I've never seen her. I don't know her. I look at her name badge. Like, I don't know her name. I have no idea who she is. And within 5 minutes, she is crying, like telling me like that she could not believe how much she transformed, her business transformed, her life transformed, like who she saw herself to be. And I'm looking at her and I was like, oh my God, like there's people out there like this that I don't know. I just, God put me in that room with her that day so I could have this experience of, seeing her. It's like, oh my gosh, she just went to a sales page, getyourbookdone.com, and, she clicked the button and did the course. I never talked to her, didn't know her name. And she like handed me she had a copy of her book and she signed it. She personally signed it and handed it to me. And she's like, thank you for changing my life. I mean, so if you've got something that can change someone's life, I mean, get your course done, get your course done.
Take the first step and move toward it and take action. So, Christine, tell us a little bit about like, I know writing your book can be very transformational as well, same as like course creation, but writing your book can be very transformational. Um, Tell us a little bit about that experience, about the experience of writing the book and why writing a book is very transformational.
Hey, this is Iman Aghay, and you are listening to the Course Creation Show. Now, if you haven't gotten the book for Ultimate Course Formula, I highly recommend to you to go to ucfbook.com and get access to the Ultimate Course Formula book. It's very inexpensive. It's very easy for you to get access to it. All you need to do is go to ucfbook.com, that stands for Ultimate Course Formula, and get the book. Okay, now back to the show.
Oh my goodness. Well, really, like when I first started out, I was doing transformational authorship, but I didn't know that I was. It took a really dark night of the soul for me to understand this merging point between authorship and transformation. Because I had started in the world of transformation, facilitating transformational women's retreats back in 1997. So I had been doing that from 1997 until, 2004, when I had started working with authors. And it took me losing everything for me to just be like, gosh, I know this and I know this. Like, there's got to be a way to make this work. And that's when I created my first event called the Transformational Author Experience. And to me, like, the written word is sacred. The process that you go through to write that book is sacred. And if you hold it as such and understand, like, we create, in the beginning was the word, we create with our thoughts and our words and the emotions that we put behind them. And when I see people out there just like, crank it out, just get it done fast, fill in a flu, questions on a template and call it a book, I'm like, oh my God, like you're missing out on 99% of what writing a book can truly do for you if you're willing to take it on as a transformational process, as a sacred process, both for you, for the work itself, the creative work itself, and for the readers that are going to be impacted. And you can feel those books that you have read where it was a transformational journey for the author in writing them, because you're probably still talking about them and you're probably still recommending them to other people. So, for the people who want to write a book and not just take it on as like, cranking something out quick to have a fancy business card, but they truly want the book to be this extension of their heart, their soul, their experience, their wisdom, their pain, their joy. And all of that onto the page. Like, when you take it on like that, you truly have the power to transform your life if you understand the approach to take going in. And there's a lot of foundational work that you've got to do first to then be able to get into the outline and the writing and all of that to make sure that this book is truly going to launch you internally in terms of who you know yourself to be in the world, in addition to your business and, impact your readers and all that. But it's got to start with you. And I am constantly amazed because one of the first things that I have my clients do, and this is the first question I give them in my course, Get Your Book Done, is what is the transformation that you want, that you desire for yourself through the process of writing this book? Like, you can script any kind of transformation you desire. And as you talked about, Iman, for some, it's about releasing limiting beliefs. For others, it's about really owning, like truly owning and stepping into their power and their expression in the world with who they are and what they're here to do. And over and over and over again, every time we see a client birth a book, I'm like, go back and take a look at the answer to that question. Because when they first answered it, it didn't seem possible that they could free themselves from all of these chains and all of these old beliefs and all of these ways of being and all these restrictions that they put on themselves, like whatever it is. They go back, like when they wrote that answer, they're like, part of them didn't believe it was possible. But then at the end, when they go back and they look, they're like, oh my gosh, like that happened, but even so much more than the best that I could even dream for myself happened through the process. And, that changes who you are as a person. And then that person shows up differently everywhere in the world. And that person becomes a more influential business leader. That person becomes a brighter light in the world. That person becomes the kind of person, where other people like, oh my gosh, do you know such and so? Like, you have to know such and so. It doesn't come from, just filling out some template and calling it a book. Like, yeah, you'll end up with a book, but you won't end up with the other 99%. That is truly what I believe you need to be all of who you're here to be in the world. So that's the process that we take people on. And it's like, it is kind of addicting. It's pretty awesome.
Right. And it's transformational. It's transformational, really deep work that things come from within. And that's no wonder that you have created such a great following and great success for people that work with you, because you didn't, this is one of the things that I really, really appreciate about you, is that many people are so stuck with doing the smart way of marketing, as opposed for you is like, I want to just talk about what's authentic to me, and I want to just say it as it is, and I'll attract the right people to myself. And I don't necessarily care about being the biggest business book writing guru in the world. I care about attracting the right people who want to write their book the way that is aligned with what we teach and aligned with the values that we teach. And that's the beauty of the work that you do, because now suddenly you attract the exact perfect client to yourself that want the same things, as opposed to getting attracted to you for smart marketing, and instead ending up wanting very different things from each other that is absolutely not aligned with what you teach or what you believe in. And then that results into, and by the way, like for those of you who are watching this, here is what it will result to. It results into waking up in the morning knowing that you need to talk to a mentorship student that you hate to talk to, but you have to because you've been paid tens of thousands of dollars to work with that person, and yet you regret every single second of spending that time with that client because you're just a wrong person to talk to. And trust me, there are some people that even if you get tens of thousands of dollars, you don't want to talk to them. And but yet you attracted them through wrong marketing methods, and that's how many people get themselves there. That instead of thinking about what it is true to myself and authentic to me and authentic to my messaging, they get focused on this is how I can sell more, and then end up with the wrong clients. And one of the things that Christine mentioned earlier that we didn't go deep, but we're going to talk about them right now. She said that there are different levels of courses that she has. So there are courses that are automated, there are courses that she works with people deeper, there are courses that, it's done for you and much higher level. Now, all the marketing that you do attract all these people. So Christine, let's talk about the different levels of services that you have, and what people get more of when they invest more when they are working with you.
Absolutely. Well, we have 4 levels of the Get Your Book Done program. And the beginning, like the first level, like the story I just told you about the woman who showed up in the hotel room, like she did our online course, right? Like with our online course, you get 44 video lessons and all the action guides that go along with it, broken down into 12 modules, very, easy to follow, bite-sized, step by step. And if someone never talks to me, they can write their entire manuscript and be ready to send it off to an editor and get it published by doing the online course. Now, we know a lot of people some people, like, they can just get on a course and do the course and end up writing a book. Other people but I have questions. So then we have another level where it's a group coaching program. And for 6 months, people get the same access to the online course, but every single week for 6 months, other than those like weird 5-week, weeks, take that one off. But every week for 6 months, they get to get onto a group coaching call. 2 of which my coach on my team runs and 2 of which I run. So I don't even have to show up for those, all of those calls. I just show up for 2 of them. And my coach is really encouraging me to just let it go and step out of doing that altogether. And then for people who still want like more accountability, they want more access to me, they want more structure for their writing time, they go into then what's called the Get Your Book Done Accelerator program, also a 6-month program. But they get weekly accountability check-in with an author support person on my team. They get to join me twice a month for 3-hour virtual writing retreats. So every month they get 2 virtual writing retreats with me for 3 hours. They'll write thousands of words. I'll be on with them the entire time for Zoom. So if they have a question, get stuck, you're like, hey, Christine, I just worked on my back cover copy. Like, can we review it together? And for 3 hours, I'm there. But the crazy thing is, like, they're usually just writing. So I have my own writing retreat for 3 hours, and every now and then someone will call in for coaching. But when they come back at the end, they're like, oh my gosh, like I got this done and that done, and I did exactly what I wanted to do. And it's just like, and there's a real community sense to that, and everyone's celebrating each other's successes and what everyone accomplished each time we have the virtual writing retreats. And then we've also, with the 6-month accelerator, we had been doing in-person, like 3-day in-person writing retreats. But of course, we moved those virtual. So twice within the course of the 6-month program, they're also spending 3 full days on writing retreat with me. Like I said, virtually right now, in person otherwise. So, that's just, and then they get everything in the other level of the program. Like they get the group coaching calls every week. They get 30 minutes of private coaching with me a month. Either during one of our big retreats or just a 30-minute check-in call on the months that we're not going to be together. So that's the accelerator level. Again, another six-month version, but just more intense support. And then there's the select level, which is, those are the clients who text me. Those are the only clients that I work with privately, in terms of like, I'll do a one-on-one call with them, every week, every other week, kind of based on what they need. And with that level of the program, we include a publishing package with my publishing company. So we're working with them to write it. Also, that level, the select level, we're doing a lot more around building the business and really, kind of digging deeper and having the whole thing work. So those are the 4 different tiers of the program.
Okay. Now the prices change generally, so they're not necessarily like something that you charge today doesn't mean you're going to charge in a year or 2 years or 5 years from now. So this is just more heads up for people who are watching this and may find this on YouTube, I don't know, like 2 years from now. And so at the time that we are recording this,
Yes.
can you give us a little bit about the price points and the levels as one of these programs?
Absolutely. The online course is $997.
Okay.
The course with the group coaching for 6 months is $29.97. The accelerator version that has like the virtual writing retreats and more time with me and the weekly accountability with my author support team, that's $9,500 for the 6 months. And then the last time I sold Select, I sold it at $50,000. But that's probably going to be going up to 75 because that's like me for a year. And, you know, they've got my text and, you know, they're the clients and I'm like, I don't want to say, you know, they say jump and I say how high, but those are the clients that I'm really there for. But I only work with like, I have 3 clients and my coach is trying to say is like, you like, though that work you're doing at that level is so amazing. Like, that's why I want to get you out of some of the other, like turn the other stuff over so that you have the spaciousness to take on more people at that select level. Cause like, I've like working that deeply with people at that level. Oh my, that's like, it's freaking awesome. I mean, I just had a client earlier today and like, you know, the homework that she had from our last call, um, she's like, oh my God, Christine, like that changed my life, what I went through since we last spoke based on, you know, but that's because of how deeply I'm working with her, the depth of trust and vulnerability and real authenticity. And, you know, people at that level, I think of investment, it's like, I don't want to say they hang on your every word, but they're much more likely to really do what you say, even if what I'm asking, like what I asked her to do was pretty hard. She was terrified. She's like, I don't know that I can do that. I'm like, you got like, you know, I got her in the right place. And she's like, yeah, I did it. And I didn't even just do it once. Like I did that exercise like 3 or 4 times since we last spoke. And it now all the stuff that was blocked before is like, it's like, oh yeah, I can do that now. I can do that now. I can do that. I'm like, yes, you know, but that's at that higher level. So those are the 4 tiers.
Well, they're heavily invested financially, but also emotionally and time-wise, and that's the part that is like it's not just it's not just a financial investment; it's also the emotion and the time investment that they're making to make sure that they get results. So they're more serious. They have more to invest on and to get results. So that just kind of
Yeah.
creates the best products. Now, I want to
They're
actually
in it like their life depends on it.
exactly.
And they show up like their life depends on it. And of course, like I am, you know, like I get to show up like their life depends on it. So, you know, at those levels of like that kind of deep work, like, oh my gosh, like who I get to become by coaching at that level it's such a gift, you know, it's such a gift for someone to trust you to really like, you know, everything comes out of the treasure chest of what Christine has to offer at that level and then some, you know, and it's like, yeah,
That's
it is.
fantastic. So I want to actually kind of put that in a little bit of uh, a, a business context for you, because lots of people think that when they teach a course, they are done, and that's not true. Okay, remember this: knowledge doesn't change people's lives. It's the accountability and the support that changes people's lives. Now, in Christine's case, she has the online course, which is the knowledge, and some of the people who are buying the course have the accountability and support on their own. So they keep themselves accountable. They give themselves like kind of deadlines and they go through it and they have the discipline to do everything, right? And if they need support, they can ask questions and just kind of like quickly through the chat box or stuff like that, I assume, right? So probably you have like some place like a Facebook group or somewhere that people can comment and ask questions when they're going through your $997 course. Is that correct, Christine?
Yes, absolutely. It is. It's kind of like stair step. And what I'm doing now is I'm actually beginning to build out like what are the courses that I teach even before they get to get your book done and after they get to get your book done. Because like my ascension model is just that deeper level of accountability and support.
Right.
But that's not really an ascension model. Like it's all get your book done. So now we're building out what goes in front of it and what comes after it, which I'm super excited about. But accountability and support are, you know, there are the rare people who I think can make it through. We had someone who, like, I used to sell an ebook for $97, and we had someone who like read the ebook, and then next thing you know, 2 months later, I've got a print copy of his book in my mailbox. Thank you. Like, I read your book and I wrote my book. But that's the very rare exception to the rule. Accountability and support are, I think, what help anyone manifest whatever the dream is that they're going after.
that's why when people want to get serious like results, and that's the time that they are investing in programs that beside having the knowledge, they also invest on programs that have accountability and support. And your online course is a great foundation for attracting people who are looking for accountability and support. So just keep this in mind, that it's not just knowledge. Some people say, you know, I want to teach this, and if I teach this course, then I've taught everything I want and everything's going to get great results. No, that's not going to happen. That's not how it is. It's actually like, it's the knowledge, but then also give them accountability, give them goals, and make sure that they get the results, right? So keep that in mind. This is not just like, hey, you know, people read a book and change their lives. It's like some people have the discipline, but most people require accountability and support to be able to get results, which the more accountability and support you give people, the higher the price of the program becomes. So in Christine's case, up to her one-on-one program, which gets to 50K to 75K at the moment. So just keep that in mind, that the more accountability and support, the more price of the program, but also the more value of the program.
Can I add, Iman, that like the beauty of having the course, like the course is done.
Right.
I don't need to put any more time, energy, effort into that creation, right? The course is done. Now, I did a few years ago finally upgrade it to video, because it was audio literally until like 2 years ago. I think it was audio only. Sometimes I'm a little late in the game. Still help people write books, but it, like when that's done, when the course is in place, I feel like that's when you have all this energy and passion and desire to look and see what are all the other creative ways that I can support people in this course. Like the course is the foundation, right? Like that's the thing that everything kind of gets created from. But once the course is done, then you get the joy of creating all these different ways that you can support people in the course, whether it is the high level one or groups, or, you know, I've brought people down to Costa Rica and to Bob Marley's house in the Bahamas and Tulum, Mexico, to like basically do get your book done, but in person. But that was fun to create. Like, let's get, 20 people away and let's sit at the beach and, listen to reggae music and write our books for the week. And, but like the course is like the glue, that makes everything else that you want to create around it, and the depths that you want to go and the heights that you want to go with your clients possible. But yeah, it's
of course, is the foundation of your marketing, is the foundation of the business, and everything else can be built on top of it. So Christine, like you and I can talk forever, which actually we have done a couple of times.
Yes, it's always so fantastic.
Yeah. So, I know that you have a great gift for people who are watching us today. And tell us a little bit about the gift and how people can access it.
Yes, it's actually my book called The Transformation Quadrant. And I gave you just a little piece of it earlier when I talked about that very first question that I have people ask, which is, what's the transformation I want for myself? That is one question amidst these 4 questions in the Transformation Quadrant. And truly, if you do this, it literally can take as little as 15 minutes to kind of blueprint your book. You've got not like the details of the outline, but the structure, the heart, the soul, the essence. And nobody should be writing a book without getting clear on that essence first. Mm-hmm. And ever since, I introduced this tool, I first taught it back in 2011. It kind of iterated a little bit over the last 9 years just to get more powerful and more usable for the readers to really sink their teeth into it. But I wrote a book about it. You can go buy the book on Amazon, or you can go to the link that Iman just placed here for you in the chat. ChristineKloser.com/TQbook, and be sure to download both the book, which is an ebook, and then there's also a workbook that goes along with it. So there's space, you can print out the sheets and kind of work through your quadrant to answer these 4 foundational questions, and that will give you the essence. Don't make the mistake of thinking that that's like everything you need. It's a great start to make sure you put your foot on the right path, as Iman was talking about earlier, how important it's just like, do something, take that next step. And for those of you who want to write a book and don't just want to like crank it out, but really want this to be the book that changes you, your business, your life, your readers' lives, the world, ultimately, this is the absolute best place that you could start. So I would suggest you go get that, and then you'll, kind of be in my world, and we can get connected, and maybe I can support you further if what you're looking for is, someone like me to help you through this amazing process.
Perfect. And if you guys are watching this on YouTube or listening to the podcast, go to the description of this episode, and you will be able to find Christine's gift link in the description of this episode. Now, Christine, I ask one question from every single one of my guests, and that question is this. What's your number one tip for success in one sentence?
Overall success or course success?
Overall success as an entrepreneur.
One tip. Trust the process. Trust the process. You are never in the wrong place. You are always in exactly the right place, even if it might not look like what you think it's supposed to look like for where you want to go. That moment too is perfectly orchestrated for you to get where you want to go. And I can only say this because I've been through losing everything and starting from scratch, and, having a business partnered up with one of my businesses, and, all kinds of stuff, I'll say. But trusting the process, it's the key to the kingdom of your success, I believe. Because the less resistance you have, the easier everything happens. And the more you can trust and let go and not fight what's happening, the more you're going to find yourself getting where you want to go way more quickly than if you didn't trust and fought and, thought that you were ever in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's impossible. Impossible. So trust the process.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Christine. It was amazing to have you on the show, and I can't wait for the whole COVID thing to end, and we can go back again to our plans and travels and all the things, and kind of have lots of fun events and seminars and summits and all the things that we do when we can travel again.
I look very forward to the next time our paths get to cross in person. And, before then, I'm sure we'll be talking more too.
Awesome. Thanks, Christine.
All
Enjoy
right.
the rest of the day. And thanks for everybody for watching this episode. If you want to create and sell an online course and you don't have a mentor who can take your hand and walk you every step of the way, make sure you go to successroadacademy.com/apply and book a time and fill in an application form to speak with one of our certified mentors to talk to you about how we can help you to take your hand and walk every step of the way to create and launch your online course. Again, the link is successroadacademy.com/apply. Book a call and have a conversation with one of our certified course creation mentors to help you with your course creation. Thanks for watching this episode, and see you in the next episode.